Hello, everyone, and welcome to Avini Vibes. We're so excited that you're here tonight. What's the date? Let me look. Oh, I have to write it down sometime because, it goes so fast. September 25th, 2025. My, we're into the last part of the year. I went into one of the stores the other day and I was really couldn't believe there were Christmas decorations up. And I thought, oh no, not yet. Goodness, not that Christmas is a bad thing, but I just couldn't believe that we're coming into September and that's happening already. So your time is precious, and with that in mind, we're going to keep this Zoom call tonight. We'll try to keep it under 40 minutes, and we're very, very excited. We have the best company, the most amazing products, the most amazing leadership, and we're here changing people's lives. Each week, we hear from the field, we hear from people that are using the products, and we're just so blessed to hear, about these life changing stories and testimonials about the products. What does Eddie say? We're not a supplemental company. We just take the bad stuff out, making way for the good. That's what Avini products do. So, with that said, I just want to again thank you. If you're a guest tonight, be sure to reach out to the person that invited you later on tonight, or we'll try to answer all your questions. But tonight, we're going to hear from somebody very, very special I've gotten to know over the last probably 2 years now. A man that's really a blessing. Now, he's not going to come on camera tonight, and I'm not going to tell you why, but we're going to listen closely to his voice because he has a lot of wisdom and a lot to say. Doc Carter. Doc, in his professional business, was a train dispatcher. He's very good friends with Alan Way. I probably should have had Alan introduce him, but Doc was really among the top 5% of dispatchers. And when you think of it, of what a train dispatcher does, my goodness, they have control so much, and they really have to think ahead and really be systematic, I'm sure, in the way they deal with the repairs and the things that go along the communication lines of trains. So, Doc, we'd like you to come forward and share with us. You've been in this model of business before, but Doc, we want to give you the floor and we want to hear from you about why you got involved with Avini, what's happening in your life with your health, and how you go about your daily with Avini, the products, and your own health. So, welcome, Doc. Welcome to Avini Vibes. I'm just looking for him now. Oh, there you are. Okay, so I'm going to give you the floor, Doc.
All
Welcome.
right. Thank you, Christine. I'd like to thank Carol for providing the format that we can all participate. Thank you for your offer, and Ed for leading our group, and Alan for introducing me to Avini. I appreciate that. This is the second time you've asked me to speak, which in itself is kind of shocking, but that's okay because I can't go at this from a technical point because I don't have any education at all in this field, but you can do this business without that. It's part of what I'm going to speak on. But when Christine was talking to me, I had brought up weight loss because I've experienced quite a bit of weight loss. So I'm going to cover three topics is what my plan is, and that's weight loss. And that's thanks to Christine. I wasn't going to mention that, but she kind of talked me into that. And the second is the new Plus Motion. And since I'm not technical, a lot of what I'm going to be talking about is more testimonial than it is technical. It's not the why it works, it's the fact that it does. And the third thing I'm going to talk about is how in the world, if I'm thinking about joining Avini or if I just began my journey, how in the world can I make this journey successful if you're like me and have not any previous knowledge of the inner workings of the body and how supplements or any of this stuff works? Doesn't matter. You can be just as successful with or without that. So with that said, I'll go over the first topic, and that's weight loss. So I joined Avini in August of 2023. And if you go back to my April, the time I was on in April, it would tell you exactly how and why. Alan Way called me, and I had been on the railroad for 38 years, and I had owned my own pizza shops for 37 years. And I told Alan, look, I have been retired 6 weeks, all of 6 weeks, and you're trying to get me to do something. I don't want to be rude, but there's nothing you can say or do that's going to make me go back to work, period. But you're my buddy. I want to hear what you have got to say. And then he proceeded to tell me Barbara's story. And he said one profound thing that caused me to become a distributor. Just one. It could be anything that sets somebody off. He said, you don't have the same problems my wife had, but how would you like to go on a maintenance dose and never have those problems or reduce the likelihood of ever having them? And, you know, that made a lot of sense to me. And I knowed Alan. I knew he was telling me the truth. And I said, listen, what two products you're saying, Cell Defender and mushrooms, you just tell me what I need to buy, and I'll buy them wholesale. And I will probably take these for the rest of my life, just based on this phone call. Because that's how much I trusted. So he, in his wisdom, said the $4.99 pack. Well, whatever that is, put me down for one. And when it came in, I pulled out the Cell Defender and mushrooms and proceeded to order myself and never even mentioned it. Never mentioned Avini to another soul for 13 months until I tried the Plus Relief. And like I say, you can go back to April and find out all about what Plus Relief has done for me. So with that said, when I joined, that's the base weight that I'm going off from. And for the females in attendance, I'm not going to name numbers. So that's my base weight. And 13 months later, without any change in diet or concentrating on anything about weight loss, I found out that Avini could help in other ways when I found out about Plus Relief. And one way, I had that disease you got to check on every 3 months. It has to do with sweetness in your body or something like that. So I wanted to find out what Avini had in that regard. And we found out it was plus fiber, and to take it 10 or 15 minutes before every meal. And I decided at that point to kind of not eat biscuits and gravy for breakfast and 3 pieces of chocolate cake for dessert. I was going to be a little bit reasonably responsible and do the fiber and eat 2 meals a day. And from that day, in September of 2024, I've never eaten a meal, not one, without taking fiber first. I take it with me if I travel. I use it at home, faithful. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And that's what I told myself I was going to do. And at about the same time, somewhere around in there, they came out with Trim Science. I thought, well, I could definitely stand to lose weight. And I was told by Chip and the boys that do know something that Trim Science could aid in that. And it could also help the fiber do its job and aid in possible test results. So I added that to the repertoire. And here's how I use the Trim Science. That's my breakfast. And my 2 meals, I use the fiber. And if I get any kind of hunger or have anything that I feel like I need to eat in between meals or after meals, then that's my second Trim Science. And I generally drink 2 a day. If I have a third meal, I get a third fiber. So that went on for 6 months until the meal replacement came around. And in that 6 months of time, I dropped 18 more pounds for a total of 28 pounds. So the meal replacement came in April, and I added that to the repertoire. And I actually use from Monday morning to Sunday night, I will substitute 5 meals. It could be consecutive days, inconsecutive days. If there's a meal where I'm not really all that hungry, I say, you know what, I can handle a meal replacement instead of a meal. So 5 times a week I use that. Now that's April till now. So 6 more months went by. Well, when I added the meal replacement, that added an additional 46 pounds of weight loss. And it's been 1 year to the day, and I'm down 74 pounds. Now, I have tried probably double-digit diets over a 45-year period, and I have been on some of them for as long as a year and a half or two. And there was a magic number I could never pass. It didn't matter what diet I was on or how long I was on it. And I can tell you that that magic number is 12 pounds higher than what I am right now. Now, I'm not hungry. I will enjoy what I eat. I feel great because I'm taking all the Avini products. Now, I've got about 50 to 60 more pounds to reach my high school graduation weight. And I have no intentions of slowing down or quitting because it works. And so anybody has any questions about that, I'll be glad to tell you what works for me. Things work different for everybody, but that's just an additional thing I can thank Avini for. And all my blood work tests on that disease has come back very encouraging. I'm within 0.3% of being normal. And I've been on metformin for 20 plus years. I've been on Actos for 10 plus years. And I've been on Prilosec for about 10 years. And I had been taking Ozempic shots for about 2 years. I have not had a drop of any of those four since February of this year. And my numbers continue to go down. So not only weight loss, it's your health. And that fiber mix is absolutely incredible. I think that's the single most important in all that journey. And the Trim Science has to be doing a good job, and the meal replacement somehow just made it go crazy. So that's my story on weight loss. I hope that helps somebody.
Great.
And then the plus, yeah, no problem. And the Plus Motion is the second topic. Now, it came out in the middle of August. And, I'm all about saving money. And I decided, well, you know what? I'll just put a 3-pack on auto ship and get the very best deal I could possibly get and just see what happens. And I saw reports where people were saying, oh, I'm better right during the convention. I'm better in 2 hours. I'm better. I'm thinking, yeah, that sounds good. But, I'm gonna put my 3-pack on order. It's only 2 weeks. I can wait 2 weeks. That's until my downline and my upline got involved and ordered right away because they're a little smarter than I am. And then I started getting reports in. Got a report from somebody in my downline in North Carolina that they had somebody that worked for them that they had back problems to where they was actually bent over a little bit. And believe it or not, within a day, was standing up straight. And it's the first time that they had seen that person stand up straight in probably years. And I know that man's telling me the truth. I told him if it wasn't him, if it was anybody else on earth, I wouldn't believe that story. But just like I believed Alan, I believe him. And I know that to be true. And then Alan's told the story about his wife. It took 2 days. Her back was better to a large degree. And I'm starting to think, this is just a couple of days in. So I went on there and ordered a 3-pack. Who cares about the 20%? I got to get that in my hand. So while it's being shipped, my mind goes like this. Okay, if it's working in 24, 48, 72 hours, that bottle, and you can do what you want, but my numbers started going through my head that if I went to somebody's house and I counted them out 5 days worth and say, here, put this in a baggie, just try it out. I don't care, if it does you good or not. I think it will, but we'll give it a shot. That's about $10 worth of product. If I really love you, or if you're in my family, I might shoot for 10 days. So I took one of those bottles and started, might be hillbilly. I never know if a word's hillbilly or not, but I started divvying it out, doling it out, ever what you say in New York. And I can tell you what happened. So there was a gentleman that I work with, and his wife, she started taking the product, and her problem was her knees. And he got it on a Tuesday, and Thursday called to say that already could feel it working. Called me 3 more days. Now, this person is a distributor, and within 5 days, they had a bottle coming their way because they had to have it. And I got a cousin in town. I gave her a 10-day supply because, like I say, she's family. And 5 days later, she said, I got to have me some of this. And she has severe hip and back problems. And I got a neighbor up the road, and this person is a distributor. And on the 4th day, said, my goodness, come here. I always help her order. Come here and help me get some of this ordered. So here it goes, out the, boom, boom, boom. And then lady at church, she couldn't close her hand. Her little finger wouldn't close, and she has bad knee trouble. And it took me a week to convince her and have her research that this product wouldn't hurt her. But she said, since it's you and you're giving it to me, I'm going to go ahead and try. So I gave her 5 days. And that was on a Monday. And Wednesday, I went down here to church, and she walked in church, headed towards me, closing her fist and pointing to her knee. Now, I think I gave her 10 days. So she's still taking the products. I look for her to order it, probably as a customer. I'm not sure, but she's having great success. Now, currently, I've got 4 outstanding samples that I'm waiting to hear from and excited to see what might happen there. So I'm personally doing some in-home care, and I've had my father-in-law move in with me, and he is confined to a walker and a wheelchair at times. And he has lived with me now 4 months, but 3 weeks ago, it was on a Sunday, he was hurting really bad. And he said, I said, let's just try the Plus Motion. He will be 92 years old in 6 weeks. And for 3 months at that time, the walker has a higher handle than a wheelchair. Anybody familiar with that? I don't know what I'm talking about. And I have watched him for 3 months take his right hand and put it on the bottom of his left wrist and lift that hand in the air. And that's the only way he can grab that handle. Never seen it any different. And 8 pills later, Sunday night, 4 pills Monday, and then 4 pills Tuesday. And Wednesday about noon, he was informing me I needed to help him to the bathroom, and he had already had his hands on the walker and ready to stand up. And I walked over and he didn't stand up. I said, what's wrong? He said, something is different in my shoulder. I said, well, what do you mean something's different in your shoulder? He said, it's like it loosened up and it ain't hurting as bad. And I said, well, you didn't just raise your hand up there on that handle, did you? He put his hand back down in his lap. He smiled real big and put his hand up on the handle. Now, you can say placebo all you want to, but I will guarantee you there was no placebo there. As a matter of fact, he volunteered the information that I did not ask for. Now, in the preceding 2 weeks, there's about maybe a third of the time he'll still help that hand. I wonder if that might be habit. I don't know, but about 2/3 of the time he's still reaching up and grabbing that handle. And then the sixth testimony I want to give you is me. If you go back in April, I explained to you about 3 hip surgeries I had. I had a botched hip replacement, and then I had hernia surgery, which that botched hip replacement caused. And then my tendons was separated and was not back together, and I couldn't walk. I've been through therapy 3 times, 6 months apiece. A nightmare. And I was on a walker, and then I was on after the last surgery, I graduated to a cane. On my 1-year anniversary of the surgery, I was told never would I ever be without a cane. And then back in the day, Chip Littlejohn and Doug Dickey teamed up on me with a regimen of Plus Relief, and I started using it absolutely faithfully 4 times a day on that hip, spraying it in my mouth 4 times a day. And it took 6 weeks. And 6 weeks later, I had staggered around to a spot in the house and got away from my cane. And, you know, instead of hollering for somebody to get it, I started walking across the room. And instead of picking the cane up, I just went right on into the living room. And that was in February of this year. And to this day, that cane is located in the same place I left it. They sweep around it, they mop around it, and that's where I intend for it to stay. That's my hope. And that's just Plus Relief, okay? So then they come out with this Plus Motion. Well, I'm excited to divvy it out. I'm excited to share it with others. I like to put others sometimes ahead of me, but I started taking Plus Motion, 4 pills a day, just as prescribed, no different. 2 of a morning, and other is for my friend Wayne, who can't believe anybody says other. So I took 2 of a morning and 2 of a night. And I couldn't tell anything for 6 days. And on about the 7th day, I approached my grand staircase to go downstairs to my bachelor pad. And for ever since I could walk, I had done the down with the bad foot match, down with the bad foot match, up with the good foot match. And I felt pretty good. I could tell I was walking better. And when I approached those stairs, I went foot over foot down and decided to turn around and try it up and back down again, which that was quite a feat, let me tell you. Might not mean much to anybody else, but it meant a whole lot to me. And I've gotten to the point where I don't keep a hold of the rail anymore, but I have a hand ready just in case. And I'm navigating the stairs a whole lot easier. I still walk with a limp, probably always will. But the point is I do walk. So that's my story of the Plus Motion, and let's get to the business part. I'm a firm believer there's only 3 steps to successfully running a business in Avini. And the first step is already done. These products have got to work. And Rick Dice takes care of that for us. Boy, does he take care of it, and boy, do they work. I need not know why. I need not know how. I just need to know they do. And that brings us to the very most important step, and that is your unwavering belief in these products. I started my business on a testimony from my friend Alan, And the fact that Plus Relief was solving all the minor pain issues that I could find between me, my family, and everybody around me. And at that time, I was being introduced to Chip, and Chip said, "You are the Plus Relief king. It's working for everybody." I said, "Well, that's just what it does, Chip. It works almost all the time. I have found a few it has not worked on, but it's minimal." So whenever something happens to you, like happens to me, whenever I can walk through the house and look at that cane, and I can go downstairs, what does that do for step number 2? What does that do for my belief level? You know, before Plus Motion, I thought, I know this stuff works. I can't believe it any more than I can now. But when I walk up and down them stairs, there's another rung on the belief ladder that I did not know was there. And you know what? There's going to be more rungs on that ladder as we go along. I think I have maxed out on belief, but I know I've probably not. And every time that I try to help somebody, and it helps them tremendously, and they've got a big smile on their face, that's another story I have. And please, let me advise you, if you get started from day one sharing Avini, every time there's a success, write the date down, write down what happened, because that is a story that you need to share. Now, you'll have stories that involve different ailments. And if you're in this for 2 or 3 or 4 years, you're not just going to have a book of stories. You're going to have to categorize them things, because you're going to have multiple stories in multiple chapters. So your belief in the product, and you know what? The hardest day you'll ever have in Avini is your first few days, is your first few weeks. Because as you progress, as you see the miracles, I call them miracles, happen, this business will get easier and easier and easier, all because of that step 2. And step 3 is you have got to share it with others. You got to share it with others if you have a heart and your belief is where it is and where it should be. You will feel compelled to share it with others. And as your belief grows, your dread to prospect will turn into excitement that you finally got to talk to that person. There'll be somebody you run into and say, how could I have forgotten them? I have got to share this with them. And it just gets easier as you go. But step 3 is sharing it with everybody. If step 2 is strong enough, you will feel compelled, absolutely compelled, to share it with people. Now, the Plus Motion is absolutely, I always said that Plus Relief is the immediate answer to introduce Avini to somebody. And now we have its buddy come in that works within the first few days quite often. But it's not just there to mask pain. It's there to eliminate pain. And I can't even imagine what that's going to do for this company. When I started seeing this product work, I told Ed Kwasky and Alan Way and Chip, I think that August of 2025 is going to go down as a monumental rollout month in Avini, because so many people are hurting so bad, and this stuff just works. It's amazing. So this Plus Motion bundle that I have come out with, I would like to thank Neil Roth for coming out with that, and Rick Dice and whoever is responsible, because I'm a math guy, And I calculated, what if you just wait till the first of the month and get a 3-pack and then add to, and then you got to subtract 20% reward points. Even if you subtract the reward points, this is the best deal that you can possibly get if you're interested in plus relief and plus balance. If you let this pass before September 30th, you'll wound up paying a little more. So I want to thank Avini for coming out with that bundle, and I've been introducing it to several people in my downline and other people because that's a great deal. And that gets us to our last topic, which is business building. You got to know the why that you're in this business. And my why, obviously, is not to make a lot of money, because I told Alan Way I didn't need to do that. Now, I have never been one to turn it down. I sold pizzas, for heaven's sakes, for 37 years. So, yeah, I like to make money, but that's not my why. My why is when I saw what these products could do helping people. But the money making is an aspect of the business, and I think all my downline would confirm to you that maybe 5% of all the talk I've ever done with them, 5% involved money, and 95% has involved the products and what they can do and how we can help people. Now, I don't believe you're going to do the $10,000 a month route by Christmas unless you're one of the Trump boys or some genius, Jeff Bezos or somebody like that. I'm not. And I don't care. So you build this business methodically. Listen, there's 15 to 20,000 distributors in this company, and we're headed in the next 5 to 10 years, I think, to well over 500,000 or 1 million distributors. And those people that join then are going to look back and say, oh my goodness, if I could have only got in Avini when it first started. Well, ladies and gentlemen who are hearing this now, it's just started. Now is the time. And how do I do this? I don't have any experience in how these products work. All you need to do is take the testimony of somebody that introduced you, have 3-way calls, utilize them, utilize the experts. Chip Littlejohn has got to be sick of me by now. He has to be sick of me by now. But see, what he's teaching me is not the technical issues. Chip is teaching me what products and how much of it do I have to give to someone and match it up with what is wrong with them. Now, as this company grows to 100,000 and 200,000, Chip Littlejohn is not going to be able to help us all. So we have to become the next generation of Chip Littlejohn. We don't have to know all the ins and outs of how it works. If somebody gets real technical with us, then that person needs to talk to Chip. But we need to learn all we can, because we are the generation that's going to lead Avini in the future. So what do we have to work with? Let's just talk about a few things, and things we didn't go over right quickly. Bad sales, Cell Defender and Mushroom. Talked to Alan Way about his wife. Talked to Ed Kwaski. Talked to my cousin that had bad sales and has been on Avini, and for the first time in 5 years, her numbers changed. Cell Defender and Mushrooms. Gut and bowel issues. This fiber that makes a gel matrix that coats your stomach allows the food to go in and in a timely fashion hit your liver and not overwhelm your system, properly distributing things, cleaning out that food with bigger zeolite as it goes into your stomach. Amazing product. Bowel issues, gut issues, nothing on the planet's going to beat our fiber. Well, let's just say you got active things, parasites, mold, bacteria, lung infection, skin problems. You can ask Carol Witt about skin problems. I conferenced her in with one of my downline earlier in the week, and it turned into a girls' night out. I wanted to leave the phone quickly, but they was talking about skin. But parasites, mold, bacteria, what a great product. And I have seen tremendous results with lung infections because it was bacterial. And this stuff I can't even talk to you how good it is. And my belief level is so high because I see it work. I do this business based on what I feel, what I see, and what I hear. I don't have to take somebody's testimony from California. I can take it right here in Eastern Kentucky and be just fine. Now, hormonal issues, I haven't seen any benefit, but I sure can tell you somebody in my downline that swears by the Plus Balance. Mood, sleep, skin care, hair, nails, incredible hormonal balance. And now we come to the arthritic conditions, the pain, the Plus Relief, the Plus Motion. My goodness, if you can't do this business with those weapons, there's something wrong. Now, I am quite confined right now on my ability to get out and prospect. But the day before yesterday, I made it to Walmart for 30 minutes, and I came home, and I took the garbage over to the pizza house, and I met a contractor at my house for an estimate. Well, at Walmart, I was getting ready to go across the Walmart parking lot, and there was a car coming, and I stopped, and they had tinted windows, and they motioned me to go by, and I trotted by at a pretty brisk speed, and they rolled their window down, and I recognized it as a long-term customer of the pizza house. And they said, "My goodness, you are moving around great. And how much weight have you lost? What is going on?" I said, "Find a parking spot and I'll tell you." And they left with some Plus Relief and a business card. And then I took my garbage over, I threw it in the dumpster. I started to put my car in gear, and then boom, a car pulled up beside of me. "Are you over here? You ready to open up? You ready to sell us some pizza?" No, I'm not. I'm not ready for that. "My goodness, you've lost a lot of weight." I said, well, let me tell you about that. And I'm not on a cane. "What? You're not on?" They know me. They know what kind of shape I was in. And they had problems with their hand. I told you I had 4 samples out. Number 2 victim stopped by my house. I took the bottle. I don't like to just take them samples, and they got to see the bottle, what it's coming out of. Got a baggie, and they've got 5 days samples that's still out there, and my information, and they exchanged information. And the contractor came by. He's got problems with his hand. It deals in arthritis. Well, guess what he left with? He left with a 5-day supply, Plus Balance, and a 30-minute lecture on why he should be on these products. Now, I got out one time for 45 minutes and prospected 3 people. I mean, come on, people. You can do this.
Doc,
Because it's that serious. It's that serious. So
Doc.
I'm closing up now.
All right. Yeah, keep going. Go ahead. I just wanted to let us know that we're gonna close out shortly, okay?
All right. And I want you to know it doesn't matter whether somebody says yes or no. That's irrelevant. It's my job to deliver the message. It's just like a sermon. The preacher's given a message and he delivers it, and it's up to the congregation on what they say. It's up to the people we tell what they say. It's just our job to deliver it and deliver it so strongly that they won't forget it, no matter how long it takes. They'll never forget it. And have fun with your business. Don't put pressure on people. They either want to do it or they don't, and you should feel good that you shared it with them. Stay with it. The company's young. It's here forever. We're doing it for the right reason. And with that, I thank Christine and Carol for the opportunity. Thank you.
Oh, Doc, well said. Thank you. Right from your heart. You know, I got an opportunity to get to know you throughout the couple of years, and that's the other beautiful thing about Avini. You know, we get to know one another and help so many people. It's such a blessing. And you notice, you know, there were no medical claims. We don't diagnose, we don't treat. He's a product of the product. He's just out there dancing through that parking lot with no cane, and people take notice. So just wonderful, wonderful stories, and you know, from your heart, Doc. Very, very grateful for that. Anyway, we take one or two questions if we have one or two questions, and I'm going to ask Chip if he's still with us to close us out. Any questions?
Neil has his hand up.
All right, go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, I'm in marketing myself, so I'm extremely impressed with your marketing abilities. Joe Gershanek was outstanding. The current gentleman is outstanding, and the gentleman before him last time I was here is outstanding. So I got the sermon, and I'm ready to buy.
Yay.
I don't know that I have a very, very extensive network. So if I really went as nuts as you guys have now gone, and I don't mean that in a negative way, then, I have a lot of people that could be involved with this. But I'm concerned about costs. In other words, what does it cost for that nice gentleman prior to talking to us now? What would it cost me to buy what he takes every week, let's say?
Well, Neil, what we're going to recommend, you're going to speak with, if Joe invited you. Joe is one of the best people that can do numbers and break it down to percentage and points and how much everything costs. He's excellent at that. So I'm going to ask Joe if you can connect together with him, because we break it down in activation packets, and whoever invited you will stay on the line or call you right after and go through those costs with you. Okay. And, I always say to people, I was able to get rid of a lot of other supplements, because these are supplements, right? I'm not taking any drugs myself, but I was able to discard a lot of things that I don't need anymore because I've cleaned my body with the tip of the spear Cell Defender. So I was able to remove some other products and Doug Dickey also tells that story, how he was using over $1,000 worth of supplements and was able to discard that cost. So what does it cost to have other treatments as well? So Joe, if you don't mind, if you would connect. And that was a really great question, Neil. Thank you for that. One more question, and then we're going to have Chip close out, please. Anybody else want to make a comment or have a question?
See, hold on. I don't see any other hands up.
All right, where's Chip then? Chip, do you want to come on and close
I'm
us
here.
out tonight? Thank you, Chip.
Okay,
Thank
have you got me?
Yes.
All right, guys. Oh my gosh, that's too much sun. So I've rolled to a stop. I found a city. There's so many people that the interstate has rolled to a stop in Boise, Idaho. So there's a lot of people available in the world. Not just Doc, but each of you, when your name pops up on my phone, I'm tickled to hear from you. I love to work with the people, to figure out the problems and to share in the moments. And, I'm sure everybody likes the way Doc tells stories. He is a great storyteller. And Christine passed on the compliment to Joe Gershanek that good with numbers. Well, Doc is one of the best people, I believe, in the entire company at structure and strategy. And so I'd recognize that ability in him as well. And probably one of the biggest, hardest-hearted people. It's wonderful to hear that he's getting better. That's a big job. Believe it or not, Alan and he and I were all engine dispatchers at one time. I was on the Union Pacific Railroad as an engine dispatcher, first thing I did out of high school. Is that amazing? You'd been riding the planet for a while. And anyway, I'm glad you were all here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here to hear him tell the stories. He has a special style about it. Ed Kwasky and his, what's he call it? They call themselves the hillbillies, but it's a good line and a good description. And we love it, right? We love it. So that's all I got. We better close it out. But thank you for speaking tonight, Doc.
Yes, thank you, Doc. Thank you, Chip. And you're right. Everybody's got their own flavor, their own style, their own flair. But most importantly, we're here to share and we're here to educate one another and continue to learn through the testimonials, through your own personal being a product of the product. That's what Carol Witt, my co-host here, always she says she's a product of the product. You can see her face glowing, talk about skin. Just want to thank you all. Just remember October 10th and 11th, Tennessee, we have a regional. If you know anybody in Tennessee, that's coming up. Get your tickets. November 14th and 15th. See you all in Boca Raton, Florida. And I'll see you all next week here on Avini Vibes because our very own CEO, Neil Roth, will be our guest. And if you want to know about the costs and the money, he also is another brilliant brain that we have running this company. So God bless each and every one of you. Thanks for being here tonight. If you're a guest, get with the person that invited you. Have a wonderful evening. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Good night.
Not all.
Bye-bye.
Good night.